It's February, and we're bringing sexy back.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
A nod to Justin Timberlake.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. All right. This is Marriage Monthly. Thanks for joining us. We are here to help you make your marriage awesome. And, we're going to be talking today about, it's Valentine's month.
Yes. Love.
Yeah, Love Month. And there's something everybody needs to know, and we're going to talk about it. It's really important. It's like an approach to celebrating love. And I think that's why this episode matters so much, is because I think a lot of people are taking the wrong approach to celebrating love. And
or they're taking no approach to celebrating love.
But it's a mentality, it's a mindset,
It's intentional.
And it's intentional.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to introduce this a little bit. And I'm going to do that with this little card that I put on the table.
Okay.
I went to the Dollar Tree, no shame. This is not for you.
What's it say first?
Well, okay, it says on the front, it says, I love you on Valentine's Day and every day.
Okay.
Which is nice. It's
nice.
It's a nice cover. I'll say the one I did pick out for you is better.
Okay.
So, but inside is where it goes off the rails. It's not good. It says this: I know there are times when I fail to do or say the thoughtful things I should. I've seen these cards way too many times. When I don't show you how important you are to me, but in spite of that. And then it goes on and says one line of nice stuff. Happy Valentine's Day. And, I think that this just reveals...
I suck, but I still love you.
It reveals like a giving up attitude to celebrating love. And so, okay, if you went and bought this card, I'm begging you to throw it away and go get a different one. If it's too late, make one.
I will give you the 50 cents to go back to Dollar Tree and get a better one.
Yeah, because Valentine's Day is a cause for celebration, right?
That's right.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Melissa had originally created a subtitle for this episode, and it was "Flirt Your Way to the Bedroom." Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was a good one though.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I know. So, anyways,
we'll save that for another one.
Yeah, we'll save that for another time, or you might, I don't know. You can still do it, I guess, but. We're going to talk a little bit from the Old Testament of the Bible. This is a podcast from Westside Community Church, and we believe that marriage is, made by God, and it's made to be awesome. Mm-hmm. And we believe that there's some principles we can practice that make it awesome. And so we're going to share just a couple of those today. But in Genesis chapter 29, this is way back in the beginning of the Bible, there's these two characters called Jacob and Rachel. Mm. And it's one of the love stories. I mean, there's some lovebirds in the Bible, and it's fun to kind of trace the story out and see what happens. I mean, the Bible is full of really good love things and really bad love things, right?
Yeah, the Old Testament has really
there's warnings and then there's inspiration.
Yeah. But
Jacob and Rachel are a great, this beginning of their relationship is awesome. Mm-hmm. Basically, he wanted a wife, and somebody told him that he should go to this place to find a wife. And it was more like a promise. It wasn't just somebody said. It was more like God's got somebody for you there. Mm-hmm. And so he goes, and it says he met her, and then it says he when he met her, I love this part, it says he wept aloud.
Ooh.
I mean, he saw her, and he was
emotional.
Just smitten, and he was emotional, and he expressed it, and he wept aloud. But
love at first sight.
Totally. But then Genesis 29:20 says, so Jacob worked 7 years to pay for Rachel, because that's what her dad made him do in order to get married, right? But his love for her was so strong that it seemed to him but a few days. Oh, isn't that beautiful?
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So picture that sort of expression when you think about Valentine's Day. Celebrating love is really what we're talking about. Not just on Valentine's Day. The front of this card got it right. Valentine's Day and every day. But then, you open it up and it goes to pieces.
Yes.
So let's hear a little bit about this topic, celebrating love.
Well, okay. I am a 7 on the Enneagram, so I like any excuse to celebrate and have fun. Any excuse. But I think that we need to be like that in our relationship, because a lot of times we just let life happen and we forget to enjoy each other and celebrate each other. So there's a bunch of ways to celebrate your love. There's special days, like Valentine's coming up.
Yeah.
Is a special day. People are like, oh, we celebrate all the time. We don't need to do that. No, celebrate it. It's an excuse to show your love.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not do that? First date anniversaries.
Ooh, that's good.
I know, right? That's cute. A lot of people go back to their first date.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
July 27th.
Oh no, that's first kiss
There's
anniversary.
Kiss.
Hello.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, first kiss anniversary, July 27th, 1988. Mm-hmm. Great day.
Actually, I think our first date was when I took you to the movie Pippi Longstocking.
Yes, Pippi Longstocking.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Which was, I didn't know I was breaking your dad's rules.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go to movies when I was growing up.
Yeah, so
I did not tell Gabe that.
I was
before we went out because I didn't want to be a dork, but here we are. Wedding anniversaries, birthdays. When Twix is on the menu at Crumble Cookie, that's a celebration moment. Mondays, every Monday. I mean, anytime you can celebrate your love, I think you should do it. There's also special places. Seattle always reminds me of Gabe because when we were kids, I'm pretty sure the moment I fell in love with him, we were on a cruise ship that went out to this island from Seattle to
it was like a youth group event.
It was a youth group event. My youth group and his youth group did activities together, and we went out on this thing. And I remember looking at him and seeing him and thinking, he's adorable. I think I should date him. And this was December and then we ended up actually dating the next July.
Yeah.
But
I do remember I had sprayed an extra squirt of Drakkar on right before that.
Oh, of course. When I just bought you Drakkar.
Yeah.
That's good. That's smells.
Good stuff.
But Seattle, just because it reminds me of that moment. Canby, Gabe lived in Canby, Oregon when I first met him, and so that was fun. So sometimes we'll drive out to Canby and just drive around. We did it recently. It's fun.
Yeah.
And Washington Square and Clackamas Town Center because we weren't allowed to really. Those are malls. Yeah. One's on the east side, one's on the west side. We weren't allowed to date and be alone. So we would go to the malls and hang out together for the afternoon. Church, because I would go to his church in the evening, Sunday evenings, or he would go to mine on Sunday evenings. And so that was where we hung out. Taco Bell, because we were poor.
Yeah. Do you remember 59, 79, and 99? If you're old, you probably remember that.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, so these places, going back to those places just makes me remember. And so it's fun, reminisce. Then there's Memory Lane. A few years back, Gabe took me on a picnic in Canby where we had a picnic before when we were teenagers. And so I thought that was sweet. That was Memory Lane. Of course, the cruise ships. Recently, we went from Seattle to Anacortes or something a couple years ago. And that reminded me of our time, the smell, diesel, whatever it is. We go back to Cannon Beach sometimes because that was where we spent part of our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And so we have driven all over the place looking for our house that we stayed in. Can't find it.
It's gone, I think.
But I know it's gone. We go back to our first apartment at Multnomah University and we'll go back there and peek at it. It's really run down now.
It is bad.
But we'll go peek because it's fun. Last year around Christmas time, before Christmas, we went to Chicago. We took all the kids and Gabe and I lived in Chicago for a few months after college. And so that was so fun because we got to take them to pizza places and we tried to find our house and we went to the malls and just did all the stuff that we did when we lived in Chicago for that few months. And we did it with our kids. And so it was so much fun. So Memory Lane's a blast.
Just to kind of point out something that might be or might not be obvious, but basically what you're saying is you're going back to some good times and you're building on them.
Exactly.
And so you're always trying to find something good and you're building on it and you're going back to that fun. You're going back to that love. You're going back to that feeling even, right?
Yeah, because
really
the smells, everything. Anytime I smell a leather jacket, it reminds me because Gabe wore a leather jacket for a while when we were dating and it just has that smell. Drakkar has the smell. Special places, Memory Lane, and lastly, milestones. There's always an excuse. Gabe and I make a big deal out of birthdays. We just do. And anniversaries are a big deal. Graduations are a big deal. We had big parties for all of our kids at their graduations. It's important. Baptisms, child dedications, any milestone, make a just big deal out of it and celebrate. Yeah. That's what we should do. Let's celebrate. Yeah.
Love it.
Celebrate love.
Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about something that you've definitely heard of if you are married and if you've, listened to or watched or been to any seminars or anything that is marriage, instruction, I'm sure you're familiar with. But it's called The 5 Love Languages. And, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman is a great book. If you haven't read it, it'd be a good idea to jump in and get it.
It's a relationship changer.
It really is because it's so simple and it's so universal. And everybody has a primary love language, meaning that you feel love, you feel loved in a certain way. And they say a lot of times the problem with couples is if it was language, and let's say I speak German and you speak, Arabic, and we're trying to talk to each other. It's like I'm going to speak in my language to try to communicate with you because I may not know your language, and you're going to look at me like I'm crazy because you're like, "What are you saying?" Right. And a lot of times with love, it's the same thing because there's different kinds of love languages. We'll explain what they are in a second, just as a refresher for many of you. But I love what Revelation chapter 2 in the New Testament says. Jesus is talking to the churches, and he's basically saying you've lost your first love. He said you used to demonstrate your love to me as people, but it's gone away. You've lost your first love. And so then he gives them the remedy, which is so interesting. And he said, go back and do the things you did at first.
Yes,
which for marriage is like, yes, that's it. Go back and do the things, which is why I'm saying we take the wrong approach to celebrating love. We start out strong almost every time because you're dating, right?
Yeah, you're pursuing each other. It's easier.
You start out strong in pursuit, hot pursuit. And then, then it lessens over time, which isn't fantastic. And
life gets in the way, and we forget to make a priority. And
And so the approach is like, let's keep it at that top level. Yeah. Jesus is like, go back and do the things you did at first. So let's go through the 5 love languages. We're going to share this a little bit, and I'm going to mention the first one, which is affirmation and words of affirmation specifically from the book. And what it means is that like I feel loved when Melissa gives me words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down a few thoughts on this. One is that words carry weight,
Yeah.
I heard this thing once that said, your words weigh 100 pounds, but if you're a leader, they weigh 1,000 pounds. Because if somebody that has authority over your life says something to you that maybe that's either a positive or a negative, it carries more weight, right? Same goes for if you are very invested in your love, So Melissa's words weigh 1,000 pounds, not 100 pounds. So if she says a positive thing, it's not just positive, it's very positive. If she says a negative thing, it's like, oh, that really hurt, Because anybody else could say something negative to me, and I might be like, I don't care, But if she says it to me, it feels more because, words of affirmation set the tone of our relationship because in my world, that's what's, that tells me where we are. It tells me where I stand is the words that are coming to me. And then, in some ways, I think you might be out there going like, ooh, me too. And probably if you feel a lot of empathy around people, this might be your love language is that you are looking for, well, where am I in this, and you're feeling some empathy. But things that she does that I love, like notes that she writes, comments that she said, little comments that she says, little flirting comments that she says. When she reaches out to me, she texts me some, nice or funny or flirty thing. She writes me a card or a love letter. By the way, I keep those things. I have so many love letters from Melissa. In fact, I got one in my pocket right here. Check this out, babe.
What year is that?
This is an oldie but a goodie.
That's not even college ruled paper.
I know. This is like, this paper is so old that it's starting to turn yellow.
It is.
And this has been inside one of my old Bibles forever. And I actually know exactly where it's at all times because I go out and look at it sometimes. But it's actually addressed to Gabriel because it was that long ago. And it's December 12th, 1994.
Oh, okay.
So it was 5 days before we got engaged, actually. And I won't read all of it to you because, but it says, Gabriel, it is unbelievable how often I think of you, but I couldn't think of a better thing to use my time up on. I love you so much. And it just goes on and gushes, And I love that. Sometimes if I'm down, I'll go find this very note and read it, because words of affirmation mean that much. So that is one way that you can celebrate your love. It's like, just if you know that your spouse thrives on those encouraging words, give them to them. You might think, well, I don't want to give them too many. No, give them too many.
Yeah.
You cannot overdo this. Trust me, as we all know, the world will beat us up, right? And we need to be lifted up by our spouse.
Yeah.
And so give them that affirmation.
Well, and I feel like also with the affirmation thing, if your spouse always comes across disappointed in you and you can never measure up, that is just a wreck.
Yeah.
Like that is going to destroy your marriage. I mean, you can't live under that kind of feeling all the time of disappointment and failure. You got to tell them what they're doing that's good and shine the light on that. Number 2 is time. And that's more of my thing is spending time together. I feel loved when he makes time for me. It lets me know that I'm a priority.
Yeah.
I think that's what time is that you matter and I can squeeze you into my busy schedule. Because Gabe essentially works like 3 different jobs. He's very busy. But he always makes me a priority. And I know I'm at the top of the list, even sometimes when I don't feel like it. I'm like, hey, what's up? And I don't mind telling him that either if I'm feeling neglected. And so I think that's important to be able to say, you haven't spent enough time with me. Don't be that needy person though. But there's something, right? There's balance there. But I mean, just time, being together, making memories together, it's everything to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I had to learn from you, honestly, is how to structure this in a predictable way.
Yeah.
Because to me, I could be like, okay, time, let's keep that at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But if you don't programmatically schedule it on the calendar,
it's got to be on the calendar.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just life happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. The third one is gifts. And we were kind of sharing some that we felt love with. Neither Melissa nor I feel loved by gifts, but it is an important love language. In fact, our daughter, Caitlin, used to really feel thrive when we would get her a gift. And it didn't matter if it was big or not, right? Sometimes it was like, I was in some city at some conference and I was at the airport and I found this tiny little stuffed animal and it's got the city name on it and, bring it home to her and she would just light up and she would sleep with it, and it was just so meaningful because for her, I think it was a symbol of thoughtfulness.
Yeah. I was thinking of you.
Yeah. And she got to take it with her someplace, and it was physical and it was tangible. And so sometimes that's a really important thing, but it shows that, I appreciate your personality because I can tailor those gifts sometimes to your personality. Something that I was listening when you said, I like that purse.
That's huge.
I was listening. I was paying attention when you lit up at that thing, and so now I got it for you or whatever is your favorite, what's your favorite dessert? What's your favorite meal? Just those little things, paying attention. Yeah. They're physical reminders of love. One of the things that Melissa did get me, which I love to this day, is my Think chair at home. And it's this... It's now this old,
falling apart,
worn out black lazy boy leather recliner, but I still use the heck out of that thing. And I always think about when I sit in it, I always think about it was a gift from my wife, so those gifts can be really meaningful.
That's true.
Yep.
All right.
By the way, she got that for me when we bought our house that we're in right now. Yes. So it was a celebration of a milestone.
That's right.
And she's like, boom, here, I want you to have a place to do some thinking work.
Study, yeah. Think chair.
Yep.
All right. Number 4 is acts of service. And this is my big one. I feel loved when Gabe is serving through house cleaning. I'll just say it that way. Mm-hmm. When he cleans the bathrooms or he does the dishes, that's sexy. Like, I mean,
especially the way I do it.
Well, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Let's not go there. But it makes me feel like he wants to contribute and help out. And it's not just me doing everything or, if you're the primary person at home and you're running things, it doesn't make you feel very good when you're in charge of everything and nobody helps out and you just are exhausted from constant dishes and cooking and cleaning. And so acts of service, anytime Gabe will lighten my load a little bit, it's beautiful to me. And that just speaks such love to me from him. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you, when do you notice that it's not happening?
What do you mean? I never say when
the
bathrooms aren't getting cleaned or the dishes.
How do you handle when in those times when you're like, oh gosh, I wonder when
I just bite my tongue.
Yeah.
Because I know you'll get to it eventually, but I don't want to be that nag being like, you're going to do the bathrooms? You're going to do the bathrooms? You're going to do the bathrooms?
I know. I guess what I'm fishing for is what's the signal for a person maybe who doesn't, because that you naturally tend to want to love another person in your own style. So for me, I'm going to naturally want to write Melissa more notes and, say words to her, and she's going to be like, well, we haven't spent any time together lately, and you haven't cleaned bathrooms in 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
But, I'm looking for triggers, like how can a person like me see a trigger to go, oh gosh, I need to.
I mean, obviously you can say if it's not getting done, if you guys have an agreement. But for the most part, I just don't want to be that nag, so I just don't do that. Yeah,
well, you're very good at that, actually. But okay, and then the last one is touch, physical touch, and it's tender touch. It's things, simple stuff like holding hands. I mean, I know we think of physical touch as sex for married couples, but it's not necessarily that. I mean, it certainly could be, but it's also publicly holding hands. That says something to me, and I my 2 are kind of like words of affirmation. Number 1, and physical touch. Number 2. Hugs, love that. My favorite is when we're on a car ride and Melissa will put her arm up on the, headrest behind my head and rub my head. It's dangerous.
Except he goes to sleep.
I know, because it makes me super relaxed. So we have to have the music up super loud, the air conditioning on full blast, and then she can do that. But these things, affirmation, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, acts of service, physical touch, these things are ways for us to celebrate our love. And so, we're going to give you a little bit of discussion and then a little bit of homework. So you want to help people with that?
Okay, a couple of discussion questions. One is, when is the next time you're going to celebrate your love? Be specific and plan it out. So, think about it even today. What are we going to do next time? Just you and me, spending some time together, celebrating our love. So that's the first thing. I want you guys to talk about that. And then number 2 is, how are you doing with the 5 love languages? I mean, we all need to work on something. And honestly, I think we should be actively doing all 5 of these. Yeah. Because just because I don't have touch or gifts as a part of my thing doesn't mean I don't get Gabe a gift once in a while, or he doesn't get me flowers once in a while, or I don't go and snuggle up to him, even though it's not necessarily my thing. I think it's important to have all of these things involved in your relationship to show your love. And then, of course, focusing on the 1 or 2 that are the primary for your spouse. But how are you doing with the 5 love languages, and what do you need to work on? And then homework. What are 5 things you love about your spouse? I want you to write 5 things you love about your spouse, and then I want you to tell them to their face later this evening, just so they know.
Perfect.
That you love them. Because, nothing feels better than that. So celebrate and show your love for each other, and this is going to bring sexy back.
Yeah, it is awesome. Well, we hope you got something out of this. I hope you'll go and subscribe to this podcast and then share it with a few couples that you know, because everybody needs a boost in their marriage. We'll see you next month.